Morning, everybody. It's a nice windy day out there, and glad to be out here seeing all these people and people who are out watching us. So, first thing is the roll call, and we have established that there is a quorum in the POD meeting, and so therefore we'll proceed. And to talk first with Ms. Fricker for Inspire Award.
Okay, thank you, Judge Malkin. Good morning, everyone. We have 3 sets of Inspire Awards today. Our first group is from Cambridge, and Mr. Barr.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. In the water wastewater group, we have a motto: the water never stops flowing. And it's our commitment on the wastewater side that we're going to treat the water that's coming in, and on the water side, it's a commitment to our customers that we're always going to supply them with safe drinking water. 2 awards this morning. The first one on the wastewater side, and it really reflects the commitment of our people. There were some repairs that need to be done on some gate valves in the plant. We got a quote from a contractor. Has anybody ever gotten a high quote from a contractor? Well, we had a Popeye moment. You know what a Popeye moment is, right? It's all I can stand and I can't stand no more. and that's what these gentlemen did. They said so they took it upon themselves to replace these gate valves that are in the middle of the plant. Well, you know, wastewater treatment plants don't shut down, right? So I'm going to give you a word picture here. What they had to do is divert the flow to a tank while they did their work. So they're busy watching the level in the tank going up. Guess what? If the tank gets filled, it overflows, right? Mm-hmm. So they're busily doing their work, and I just can't imagine the scramble that they did to make sure that this tank didn't overflow before they were done. So I want to just thank Jeff Cochran, Rod Talent, Manning Bud, Darius, right? Not Darius, okay. Darius Tillman and Kenny Sykes could not be here today. He's off. He'll get his check though. And I just want to thank all of them for a fantastic job of stepping in and saving our client $9,000. So thank you. You always inspire us.
Yes.
You got the camera. Come on.
Yes.
Even picture time. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, you'll be over.
Good.
Yeah, page right in order.
Yeah, no kidding. Please watch out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your work. Photo out. Thanks.
Our photographer here, our unofficial.
Cameras are there. We got. How we're doing? Okay. Gotta get. All right.
Oh,
Six men trying to take a picture together.
Here we go.
Okay. Gotta get closer.
Gotta be closer.
Yeah, that's right.
Let the bar move over.
Okay, all right.
And a high one. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Congrats.
That trip all the way over.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, darling.
As always. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Take our seats or?
You can, well, if you want to be bored, or you're welcome to go. Yeah.
I got work to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Drain that tank.
Yeah. Dr. Glass keeps track of those overhead hours.
Right.
Our second award also reflects the commitment of our people when it comes to supplying drinking water. Sometimes even when we're not involved. Believe it or not, there's a place called Accident, Maryland. And they had an accident called the water break. And the water level dropped precipitously. And our people responded. Now, what's important about this is our people responded even though we aren't responsible for the distribution system. So our people kept the pumps running so the water pressure in the system could be maintained. and our people also participated in trying to find the water main break and ultimately assisting in, we didn't personally do the fixing, but we did identify the break. So that's a real commitment when MES isn't necessarily responsible for something. As a matter of fact, none of our representatives from the Western region are here this morning because MDE contacted us about a problem with the community water system in the West. So that's where they all are, along with the snow. So it's a real commitment, I believe, both from this Inspire Award and to Rex Bowman, Mark Kaiser, Jim Friend, Derek Beckman, Jim Kenner, and Wayne Bowl, as far as what we do as an organization, to not only our customers, but to anyone who receives, ultimately receives our services. So we thank them for that commitment in action in Maryland, and we thank them for being on the job this morning in a troubled situation in Western Maryland. So I certainly hope they get a chance to view this video because I want them to know that I really appreciate what they've done and what they are continuing to do even as we speak. So, thank you.
Davis, last one. Last but certainly not least.
So good morning, all.
Good morning.
Our awardee today for Inspire, talking about a person who does other duties as assigned. You are clearly describing Mr. Theodore Kluge. Mr. Kluge is the grants administrator here at MES. He's been here 16 years, coming up on 17, right, Ted, in another month or so? So Mr. Kluge provided invaluable support to the Technical and Environmental Services Group through his work with the Maryland Department of Emergency Management, MDEM. Since February 2022, Mr. Kluge has supported Tessa's work with the MDEM Hazard Mitigation Branch, providing exceptional services in forensic financial analysis. I had to practice it.
That's a lot.
Mr. Kluge reviewed over 100 million in expenditure records from sub-awards the Hazard Mitigation Branch was administering. Most impressive detail was that the task that he had done, he completed it in 30 days. The MDEV client contacted MES management and reported that Mr. Kluge was responsible for keeping the Hazard Mitigation Branch financially stable on the sub-awards and is the first person in 2 years to successfully execute a drawdown of funds on some of the awards. MDEV management also relayed that in less than 1 year, Mr. Kluge has become the subject matter expert on hazard mitigation finances and processes and is providing recommendations to optimize workflows. The client credits Mr. Kluge's knowledge, his skills, and his expertise with positioning him in a role supporting MDEV, where he leads the Hazard Mitigation Finance Unit, providing guidance to other MDEV staff and documenting the institutional knowledge he has gained over the past year so future staff will be able to understand the process. The MDEV client added a personal note that Mr. Kluge is not only knowledgeable and efficient, but also humble, kind, eager to help, a true professional, and very respectful. And Mr. Kluge, that's why you're receiving the Inspire Award today. Congratulations.
That would be easier to take the call. So
I'll get the camera.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Camera's on.
All right.
Oh, you just have to do a selfie now.
So I do believe that you need to get Stephen on camera, and then we also need a selfie stick.
Yes, I think so,
Put that in the budget.
Here's your capital outlay.
Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Next item, approval of minutes of December 15th, 2022. All of the members of the board have shown it, And, does anyone have any questions or? And it will be necessary, and next is, Dr. Glass.
Thank you, Judge Smokin.
Yes, sir.
Happy New Year to all that I haven't seen or interacted with. And
Bless
bless you. Next slide, please. So Deputy Furketic and I went to an event at the World Trade Center on December 12th. We both paid for parking across the street, and it was $15 on our P cards. We had no other expenses on a reimbursable basis.
I'm surprised you could park for $15.
It was.
Must have been a drive-by.
Pulled in and pulled out.
I was there for a couple hours. It was evening race.
Oh, okay.
Not big race. Next slide. This is a list of all of the engagements, despite some notable ones to point out. Let me see. I wanted to point out my interaction with the Wycomico County administrator and the actual county executive. They have an interest in support from our wastewater engineering group. They have a lot of issues with their wastewater facility. They are putting a bill through enabling legislation to have a new sewer district in the county. So hopefully we can assist them. We already assist Wycomico County with septic tank improvements from the health inspector side. So that was a neat one. I also, we've had, a briefing and a hearing. Well, when was this? Well, Baltimore County sent a delegation. That was more of a briefing. They wanted a briefing on the Back River wastewater treatment plant and our engagement and the entire story. And then we were also called before the Senate Budget and Tax Committee. That was a hearing.
That was a hearing.
That was a hearing, and where we followed the Maryland Department of Environment, and then we were followed by the Baltimore City Department of Public Works. I don't think I wrote it someplace else. Oh, I'd ready to write it. So more on Baltimore City Back River plant later. I didn't say next slide yet. Okay, next slide. Oh. Next slide. So, other engagements. We continue to do so well with vacancies, and we've collected so many resumes that I did share them with the Low Impact Development Center, a non-profit center that does stormwater management in Prince George's County and Montgomery County. We also presented at Winter Mako. So I guess I don't know what, that'll be in the next cycle for expenses, but a contingent of MES staff went to Winter Mako. There was a lot of action going on, and we presented to the Clean Chesapeake Coalition. I thought a board member was there, but then she left. Well, says she likes hearing from us. Anyway, but we talked about the Conowingo project, and funds have been allocated, but they have not come to us yet, and we'll see what happens in the future with that, what was a pilot project, and we're preparing for, and getting requests for information on how we're planning, doing engineering, pre-engineering work, and planning and siting and scoping the entire project. And we continue to do outreach and had a successful event at Oak Mills High School, and we attended the Carroll County virtual hiring event. These consistent outreach events with senior management have really assisted us with recruiting from the GED high school level all the way through the college level. And actually, I interacted with Johns Hopkins Environmental Health and Engineering Department, and I was talking to their department chair, and I was saying, oh, your students cost too much. And then she said, well, maybe the bachelor's students, but the master's might even consider working because they're more intentional about wanting to work on positive projects. So I will be following along. That's my alma mater, one of my alma maters, and I'll be going back to them in the spring. And we plan on intentionally going back in the spring and being prepared. And we're going to develop a more intentional internship. All the operating groups accept interns, and we're going to try to have at least 10 this summer, or grow it from there if we can make them. They're billable when they work for the operating group, so we bring them on. Next slide. We held our 10th quarterly all teams meeting, and I went back over the actual slide starts with the annotated code and the law. We don't do the federal law, but I want to start with an explanation. We probably had 200 people since I've had that slide up, where we start with law, go to regulation, board resolutions, and then our policies and procedures as our overarching governance, right? That, and obviously includes you all through the resolutions, and then supported by our safety level service and education and training. Deputy Secretary or I, and if we're both gone, Jana Leach or someone else from the executive office, we greet every new employee, and we go over this slide with every new employee as they're hired, along with expressing to them, especially no matter whether they are young or senior, to invest in the 401k and other ideas of our benefits as they're being onboarded by HR that whole day. So there's a lot of little things we've done, and we need to write them all down to document our success over the last 6 months. And so, but that's one. But a great all teams. We do it every quarter. We do it virtually. Even people that are indisposed can go back and watch it on stream, so that we really give an update. And Deputy Secretary gave an update on where we are in the best process this year so far, and what we need to work on and what we've already achieved. So I found it to be very informative, and it's not as interactive because we're not going to have 797 people drive to one central location from east to west. So this has been I think it's been great, and I think the staff, and I don't know if they enjoy it or not, but I'm not getting negative comments. Next slide. So we, on January 18th, the Board of Estimates of Baltimore City signed a third reimbursement agreement with MES that extends our relationship again until April 30th. As previously mentioned, on December 31st, MES operational support ended at the Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant. MES construction and maintenance projects continue as equipment arrives and material arrives. And you have one item before you that's related to one of those capital projects. But no new projects have been initiated. MES has joined MDE in briefings, as I mentioned, for Senate Budget and Taxation and the Baltimore County Senate delegation. We reiterate that we are here to partner with Baltimore City Department of Public Works and want nothing but success for the facility.
You going to mention what this picture was from?
Sure, I will mention. Well, that's not what I wrote about, but this is. There you go. See, I love being up-managed. I want you all to see it. No, this picture is from a briefing we'll call it a briefing, but a presentation by staff from different groups, but all water, wastewater, to the Baltimore City American Society of Civil Engineers group. It was well received. MDE was present, and the A&E community obviously was well represented. And it was such a good presentation that MDE asked for them to also give it to their staff.
Which they did yesterday.
So that's where that picture is from. Next slide. So I'm not going to upstage the HR report, and I didn't see this graphic, but in the last quarter, I have a performance measure that is executive office level that IT designed a couple years ago. I've talked about it. But I didn't make it into a graphic, so I haven't translated it into a nice graph. But we track quarterly how many of the billed positions were over 80% billable. So minus vacations or sick leave. In the last quarter, only 4 staff from the 680 billable staff fell below 80% billable. Thank you to all the staff and managers that ensure we are executing our mission with and for our client partners. I want to give a special call out to 3 overhead staff members, administrative staff, that have created ways to become billable while maintaining our environmental mission and doing their core function. One of whom you just met and he left, but Mr. Kluge. Mr. Kluge, through that work for MDEM, well, I have it as MEA, but I think he was working for MDEM. Maybe it's MDEM.
Yeah.
It was them right there.
Thank you. All right. 47% billable for an overhead position in the last quarter. So he is literally adding resources to all of his colleagues.
I was going to ask that indelicate question because you did a lot of work for someone else.
No,
Aside from being patted on the back and have a lot of kind words, I was just wondering if there was any money that.
Yeah, there was.
so whenever you see these awards, there is a check. So.
No, I'm not talking about a check to him. I'm talking about a check to MES.
No, he was 40% billable, Secretary Neal.
That would be doubly bad. We paid him for doing this, and we didn't get any money for it.
Okay, so
I got to do this. It's my job.
Second place, and this won't be a regular thing, but second place goes to Mr. Tim Barr, who was 23% billable, and Mr. Tim Barr, after Deputy Furketic disengaged a little bit, became our representative with executives from Baltimore City and MDE on the Back River wastewater treatment work. And he still continues to meet with them and serve in that role. And finally, even our beloved internal auditor has become 2.4% billable by performing desk audits for a client. So an environmental client.
There you go. Okay.
And her staff.
And her staff. And her.
Number for him yet.
We don't have, yeah, he just started. He had a few hours. So the one thing I wanted to bring up and make you aware of, because my compensation is based on the board decisions and no one else. Mr. Patel shared with me my mileage logs from the last year. We don't take advantage of the DBM policy. I want that to be clear. So DBM has a policy for agency heads. We do not follow that policy. I had my trips verified, and then I had Ms. Winsome Condra audit my mileage receipts. It started off, you get a bill from finance that says you owe $1,630 in tax, all right? But then you have the auditor do it, and you come up with $2,400 in tax. But I want you to know they were all paid. My checks at the end of the year were very low, not very low. They were whatever. So this is a part of making sure that you will never have me not be clear and transparent about anything related. So that compensation has been paid back to MES and held. Next slide. I think that might be. Okay, oh wow, you got a slide for that. Now, I did take 3 years of high school Spanish, but Dia de Trabajo, oh, I should let Mr.
Dia de Trabajo para Estudiantes.
See, he's got the accent and everything. All right, so dressed up in outfits they would wear to work, students in grades 3 through 8 excitedly lined the hallways in preparation for the Graceland Park O'Donnell Heights Elementary Middle School Career Fair in Baltimore. And you see before you two of our illustrious environmental education specialists from EDR. They are in the school gym lined up with about 20 other booths, and they represented different jobs. The exhibitors included doctors, chemists, and pilots, but the MES education team proudly had the most popular table in the fair. And that was probably because our terrapins were there, right? Our terrapins were there, as you see in the outside. So, were they in uniforms too? This says they were in uniforms. We didn't dress up the terrapins, did we? Only the kids were dressed up. But it turned out to be an incredible event. It was done, although I am butchering the bilingual nature of it. Matthias and Alana are bilingual, and they spoke to some of the children in their native language as they were there. So just to give this is in one of our weekly updates that everyone gets to see on great activities, and I wanted to show this. So next slide. That's it. Well, I have two others that we don't have slides for. One is the Montgomery County Grinding Operations, Modern Fleet Management, and this is just a testament to environmental operations working across the state to help each other. So you all know we manage the Montgomery County grinding operations. The keynote is that to improve the fleet's facility, senior operators manager Chris Peelan? You're nodding your head either way, but anyway, and mechanic Josh Whip work together with Midshore Landfill Maintenance. All right. And they transferred the latter's fleet management technology to Montgomery County. And they trained, they spent weekend time to do this. So a special thank you to the MES Midshore Landfill Maintenance staff for their valuable assistance and mentoring to their colleagues in the same group. And the last note is, second to last note, let's keep it flowing. MES Maintenance at BWI repaired an actuator on a 6-inch line on one of the 4 600,000-gallon waste de-icing fluid tanks that opens and closes the drain line for storage tank number 4, which you see if you go to the daily parking at the airport. They automated and manually operated valve necessary to empty the storage tank C's last month and needed a repair and replacement, and they did it in place. So that's another kudo. The last thing is Treasurer Davis gave a great shout out to the durable medical equipment operations in Cheltenham yesterday at the Board of Public Works. We were all waiting to see if you had mentioned that he's a board member on the Maryland Environmental Service and we operate the facility, but we know we're contractors and you don't tell people when your bathroom looks nice that the contractor, you don't talk about that. But thank you, Treasurer Davis. We'll still help the Department of Aging and expanding that program and thank you for the shout out.
That's really a wonderful, if I can forgive my interruption, that I was so impressed when I first learned about it. And, you know, it's going to help a lot of people, certainly in the county that I used to represent as a delegate. I just hope the word gets out. And yes, that was my error for not mentioning MES as well in its role. But I was just so excited learning about it and all the people that it's helped.
Thank you, sir. And the only last thing is that we do have we're planning 4 site visits. If they have technology, we'll do the board meetings at those locations and try. And if you still can't make it directly, but they have technology, but you'll visit. We have Cox Creek. We'll get this all via email, but Cox Creek in April, the Freedom Wastewater Treatment Plant in July. I only have MRF here, so I don't know if that's the Prince George's County MRF or it's Prince George's County MRF in October, and Technical Environmental Services here at HQ in November. So as promised, we want you to be able to see the staff and get to some of our sites, and we'll combine a board meeting that we can still do hybrid and with the tour and meeting staff at those locations. But that's hot off the presses. It's still in development. And Judge, thank you for time.
Well, thank you, sir. And not that you don't do this, you got to do more things, you know? Well, yeah. So anyway, but what you're doing is great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Next, Ms. Clerk, again, you have something to tell us?
I do.
Thank you. And a good thing, too.
A good thing, yes. Yes. Okay. I'd like to provide everybody with an update on our BEST program. We are 7 months through the year, so we have 5 months to go. And I'm not going to read everything, and I've got a lot of talking points, but I'm not going to talk about everything. If you want to know more specifics, I'll be happy to tell you. But our safety goals, we are well underway in meeting all of our safety goals. And I do want to point out for Treasurer Davis that as far as the OSHA MOSH reported incidents, in 25 recordable injuries so far this year, 7 months into the year, we have had 6. I know this was something that he was interested in. So everybody's good. Next one, Pam, please. Education, again, the different groups are coming up with training courses. We've done the classification of several career ladders. Today we're going to be talking about the electricians and mechanics, and each group was supposed to be developing user-friendly workday reports. Finance is, they were only supposed to develop 2, but being the overachievers they are, they have developed 4. So we're happy about that, and they will be providing us training. Next. Again, workday training, bonfire proposal, everything is underway. We do post any trainings that are done on our intranet site, so people that can't get to the training whenever it's held can see it other times. And then we have had wellness events. We did the nutrition event in August. We did a salsa event in October, which I unfortunately missed because I was homesick, but it was very entertaining. And so if any of you have access to the intranet site or want access, you should watch it because it was fun. And actually that helped us with our Hispanic Heritage Month goal, our DEI goals as well. We're looking at scheduling a meditation event for February, possibly, and also I'd like to look into a Zumba event. We'll get, since the salsa dancing was so good, Mr. Patel, like I said the other day, shake a leg.
I was forced into it.
Yeah.
A lot of finance people were.
Yes. It was interesting. I hated missing it. Okay, next one, diversity and inclusion. Like I mentioned, we had the DEI event with the salsa dancing, and we had people from almost every group attending that one. That was super. We have completed the sexual harassment training. 96% of the staff has been trained as of the beginning of December, and that's an ongoing thing. Every time we bring in new people, we have to give training again. As a matter of fact, we have a class today going on. So let's see. And then job fairs, career fairs, that's been an ongoing thing. We've been all over the place. Chamber of Commerce in Salisbury, Hot Jobs Fair in Havre de Grace, MDOT Family Night Career Fair, Towson had a career fair, different schools, HBCU Workforce Development in November. So we've been busy. Next one, please, Pam. Okay. We are focusing on diversity recruitment, and it's being tracked by HR. I guess that's if people put that in their applications, right? But at least it's in Workday, and reports can be generated. The MBE outreach events are ongoing. Our liaison sets them up and usually has somebody from each group attend, and the last one is usually in May, the big one. So as soon as we're going to be doing that again. And then he's also tracking the SBR, MBE prime contractors, and our goal for MBE, but I don't have a number today to give you, but I can get that. Next slide, please. Okay, customer and community service. The managing directors, executive teams, we're trying to get out to the major sites to visit, so that's all underway. And again, we're going to be bringing you, whoever wants to participate, to some of our sites this year, and I do encourage it. It's nice meeting the people. They're very happy when we all show up, and they like being recognized. Communication, let's see, timely response to communication is ongoing. We're trying to come up with a better way of tracking that, but people are being very responsive to clients, internal and external. And community service activities are underway. Headquarters collected rehab items for Friskies Wildlife. Harford County had our employees out there they will be contributing, to a local charity and food bank. That's planned. EDR has scheduled another event this year at Bark in hopefully this spring, and hopefully when we do it, it's not going to rain like it did last year, but it was fun walking the dogs even in the rain, so I'm looking forward to that one. Tess is coordinating Backpack Buddies food donation, and which is interesting. It discreetly provides a backpack of food on Fridays for children struggling with food insecurity. So that's planned for the spring. And then Wastewater, Western Maryland folks donated and delivered canned food to local food banks last fall. Next, please. And as part of our community service, we did the Christmas Adopt a Family event, and we actually beat our Maryland Charity Campaign goal. We achieved 110% of the goal. Next. Okay. The team is, we actually have a committee, BEST committee, and they check on the different groups and make sure things are getting done. So they're working right now on quantifying the calendar year 22 emissions. And people have been applying for grants. Mr. Patel and his folks have applied to MEA for a grant for a electric vehicle charger, which is portable. There's been grant applications to Maryland Energy Administration, so people are and will be, at water, wastewater, we always apply to MDE for operating grants for the Bay Restoration funding. They give out operating grants each year. So for those plants that we have that are achieving enhanced nutrient removal, that usually gets done in the spring. Let's see, environmental operations commissioned a Stirling engine project in August. And Earth Day is in April, so the planning is underway. We'll be doing our usual event, of some sort this April. Last slide, please. And I'm not going to steal any thunder from Mr. Patel because he will talk about our increase in revenue, but we are well on the way of meeting that goal. Actually, I think we've exceeded it, but I'm going to let him talk about it. Vacancy rate, I'm not going to steal Mr. Barzil's thunder there either, but that one, the big thing with that is going to be maintaining it. And everybody has been working really hard to get our vacancy rate number down, but we need to keep it up. And then working on policies for background screening. And that is all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Ellen, have we ever considered a formal relationship, a corporate charity? I like all the stuff that's going on all over the place, but sometimes it's easier to recognize your contribution if it's a formalized thing. I mean, there's some companies that do muscular dystrophy, whatever. You could pick something that, and then you have a formal affiliation with an organization, something about.
Okay.
Idea. All right, now our managing directors.
No, it's okay.
Proposals that are in operation, we want to take a look at them. Members have any questions with regard to these? And we'll go on. And next we have our financial person, Mr. Patel, who keeps the lights working in many ways.
Thank you. Good morning. So let's start with the labor sales, which is rising, as Ms. Pakedik mentioned. The green bars are the actual last year. The blue bars are the actual this year. So if you look at it, all the blue bars are higher than the green bars, so our labor sales are increasing. As of now, we are 10.28% higher in labor sales over fiscal year 22. But when we prepared the budget, we had already increased it by 4.5%. So the actual fiscal year 23 is 3.3% over the budgeted labor. So as far as the billable labor is concerned, we are doing much better than what we anticipated. Early this morning, very early this morning, I sent emails to my staff, a couple of them, and talked to them at 8 o'clock. And I think I was trying to develop another measure. Our labor sales are going up. I wanted to see the labor hours by the projects. So I got a quick review, a quick report, and it is not growing. So now, my staff made a disclaimer, said this is a quick report and don't rely on it, but for the next board meeting, I'm gonna develop that report. which tells which projects or which clients we are increasing the labor hours versus decreasing the labor hours. So that will be the new metrics that I'm going to study and report on. Next slide, please. So this is a comparison of budget versus actual as of December 31, halfway through the fiscal year. Our labor sales are up by 1,194,000, as I showed in the previous graph. So labor sales are up mainly because of the salary increases and maybe some more projects, but we'll have a quantification of new projects and hours when we develop that statistics. As far as the overhead variance is concerned, for the full year, we had budgeted $2,384,000. We are expecting the full year estimate of $2,829,000. We are running the overhead expenses are not going to be what it was projected. So we're going to have some savings in the overhead expenses, and the overhead recovery, which is the factor of the labor sales, will be increased. So overall, the overhead variance is looking better than the projection. The fringe variance is not doing so good because of the, when we make the budget, the health insurance, the workers' comp insurance, all those premiums are not determined. So that was our best estimate, and it is safe to assume that every year, the health insurance, the workers' comp, and all those insurance costs will go higher. So for the fringe variance, you know, we are expecting a negative variance of $52,000, which is not significant. The working capital recovery, we are projecting a favorable variance of $175,000 because of the higher billable labor. We have 3% working capital recovery on that. So that is looking better than expected. The biggest difference is when we made the budget last year, the interest rate was 0.1% for last 2 years. All of a sudden, in the last few months, it has jumped up to 3.5, 4%. And we are monitoring that every day. And every spare cash we have, we are investing it on almost 3 times a week. And because of that, we're going to probably have $800,000 to $900,000 in interest income that we did not anticipate. So we're going to have a much better fiscal year results. So we expected the budget for the full year of $3.2 million. Very likely our full year estimate will be $4.3 million, which is $1 million higher. And the interest situation looks like it's going to even improve even better. So we'll be doing a very good fiscally. But, you know, a couple of things that we are planning. And, of course, the fleet is not making any money. We expected $100,000. We just received 6 new trucks. This couple of them this week and last week. So those depreciation is going to hit there. We received a proposal for charging stations for, you know, the in the front there, about 10 charging stations, including 2 rapid chargers. Just received it yesterday. So fleet, Mr. Berman and I'm negotiating. The price came a little higher than what we expected. So we are looking at the grants and all that. It's not that MES cannot afford it. And it is also that we want to have charging station available for the employees' electric vehicles, as well as we're going to acquire MES electric vehicle. So we will be definitely acquiring that before the end of this fiscal year. So just, you know, a couple of those things, keeping in mind that, you know, we have those plans. And anything that is needed, MES will do that. Of course, we have a little windfall here with the interest income, and we're going to utilize whatever we can to the best of our abilities. Next slide, please. So this is 6 months ended December 31. We are comparing the last December versus this December. And as you can see, even month by month, the labor sales is up 10%. And the increase in net assets is going to be like up 14.50%, which is the results of all the revenues and expenses. And the last line there, it says revenues is from last year at this time was 70 million. Now we are at 92 million. So our revenues are much higher too, because we are, a lot of that maybe the pass-throughs and, for the capital projects or construction projects. But that is still, when we have such a high revenue, even though it's passed through to the private companies and all that, MES has a role in it to, monitor that, to plan it and all that stuff. So the high revenues shows that MES is getting more work, because now the word is out, our brand is there, that even though whether it's a pass-through, MES doesn't have that much labor in it, we can manage those projects. So you received about 100 pages of audit reports in your package. I'm sure you read every one of it, but if you don't mind, Mr. Heller, I would highlight a couple of things in there, and then you can add to it. So instead of 100 pages, let me just focus on
49.
Before you go to the audit, I have a question about the overhead expenses. If we underestimate numbers that we can't predict because we just take a guess, what is the process of recovering that from our customers? Because those are legitimate overhead expenses.
So our overhead model, once we get the audited, we have extra expenses. Of course, we have a reserve. We can always tap into the reserve for it to put the cash out for this expense. But those will be recovered when the audit for the fiscal year is finished, because based on those expenses, the overhead rate will be determined the 2 years from then. So like when the fiscal year 23 audit is finished in September, if we have excess expenses, it will be part of that expenses. So the overhead rate is determined overhead expenses divided by billable labor. So, and that rate will be implemented in fiscal year 25.
So it's done in arrears.
Correct.
Yeah. So reverse the process. Suppose we had a good health insurance and workers' comp year, and it went down. Does it apply the other way?
Correct. Because the rate going in the 2 years from now will be reflected by that.
So you use actuals from previous years?
Because, so we have to get it audited statements.
Yeah.
By the time we get the audited statements, the next fiscal year is already planned by the government, so we cannot apply to that one. So we have to go a fiscal year after that.
I was just wondering how.
Correct. So along that line, let me see if I can find our fiscal year 23 rates, and then once the audit was over, the audited statements you received, fiscal year 24 was determined. Our fringe rate went up 1.71% from 23 to 24. However, our general and administrative expense, which is the overhead expense for the MES corporate, went down by 1.21%. Plus, we have the group overhead rates, which stayed steady, plus or minus 1%. So, even though fringe went up, as I say, there's no control over that. Our overhead from 23 to 24 is pretty consistent. And hopefully, in 25. And the more billable labor we have, the rate will be lower.
1.71 is low.
Right.
I mean,
the fringe rate went up.
People's health insurance and other insurance coverages, it's my experience, to go up more than that.
Yeah. And general and administrative for corporate, lowering 1.21%. We used to be much higher, and was lowering and lowering. We are reaching the point where it's not going to be too much lower, but at least, these are the actual amounts. All right, so now I'm going to go very quickly with the audited financial statements. As As far as the financial statements are concerned for MES, it is a good, clean report. We have been receiving that good, clean report for many years. There were no corrections needed by the auditors. There was no change in estimates, no change in our accounting procedures. So RSM presented in either October or November the preliminary results and informed the board basically the same thing. And so this report is the official report, which says exactly the same thing, is that there was no findings, clean report. They did not make any modifications to the financial statements submitted by MES. There was another report, which is a single audit report, which is called Uniform Guidance Report for the grants. The auditors audited grants worth $2,166,000. That's the grants we received in fiscal year 22. And that report was very good. As a matter of fact, that report was great because for so many years we are receiving these good audit reports for the grants. MES is considered low-risk auditing. And because we are a low-risk auditing, they do not have to do that much testing, and it saves the audit fees. So as far as the grants are concerned, we have no findings. And the other one was indirect cost rate audit, and I already just informed that the indirect cost rate determined by us, verified by the auditors, there was no substantial increase in it, except the fringe rate was a little higher, the G&A was a little lower. So this is just a summary of the audit reports that you received on it. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer that. Or if Mrs. Heller wants to say something,
The only thing that I would like to say is thank you to you and your staff, because it's a tremendously positive thing when an auditor says you have clean statements. So, thank you.
Oh, one more thing. So right now there's another audit going on there for MES Reform Act. So RSM has already started that audit, and hopefully they will finish that audit, sometime in February. And then when the results of that audit comes up, they will present to the audit committee and the board of directors.
Will you speak to the DLS audit briefly?
The legislative audit?
Legislative audit.
Okay. So we had a legislative audit, and there was no significant finding, just one recommendation to have new contracts with our state reimbursable projects because, we have been operating for so many years. Then we were waiting for the report. They said they're going to give the report, and now the cybersecurity has taken up so much importance in the state and everywhere. So they send the legislative audit, they send us a new auditor, which is expert in the cybersecurity. So last month, all of a sudden, we were audited by this Workday security auditors, very thorough audits. They audited most of the finance roles, procurement roles, HR roles, and they had a desk audit with some of the employees in finance. What do they do? Why do they need this access? Who else has this access? So they did a very thorough audit. So we may have a second finding or recommendation that they say that, we have to have a plan where we are doing full audit of all the positions every year. And I try to get out of that, and I say, wait a minute, we are going on a random basis, and we have to respond to the auditors, I think, early next week. Mm-hmm. And we'll meet and we'll decide on it, because 150 employees has access to Workday. And, finance has in a lot of functions, accounts payable, HR, procurement, and the project managers need a lot of access because they need to know exactly what's happening with their projects. As far as salaries are concerned, who's working on it, what vendors we pay, what kind of invoices we send out. So that will be challenging, but we're going to respond it next week. But that was their recommendation that, we need to be very vigilant and plan audit of everyone who has access to Workday.
Well, it sounds like there's an audit every week.
Year round.
Yeah. So once we close the fiscal year, is another 6-7 months of audit.
Also, we pay them so they get more money.
Well, I'm negotiating, I'm a tough negotiator.
Good. Thank you, sir. See, next, Mr. Parcell.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
So, have good news to report. Start the year out. As of this morning, and we're hoping to actually go over, we have a vacancy rate of 3.88%. That's even after our best payouts and everything, so we're very happy with that. There's actually been, as of yesterday afternoon, 4 more job offers, so our pipeline also looks very good, very promising. We've also finished selecting 50 candidates as recommended by the managing directors for the management and supervisory training, which was so successful last year. It's going to be 25 in each group, management and supervisory. They've all been informed. Shout out to my boss, Mr. King, for all his help with going through those spreadsheets to make sure, and all the managing directors for your nominations for the candidates. And we've also, in Workday, as of, I guess it was Tuesday, we initiated an HR service through Workday. We've had a couple of requests come in to track, so we're getting some of our employees, and so far those two were responded to quickly and taken care of. So we're hoping more employees are going to take advantage of that instead of the usual phone calls and emails. It'll be more logical to track the request and to determine our response times too. So that's where we are in HR. Plowing ahead.
Anything else? Any questions?
Well, and I'd like to mention too that because of all the work HR has done, I mean, in conjunction with managing directors, we held an HR appreciation day, and treated them to lunch.
Very nice. It was well received. We appreciate everybody showing up to that. And once again, it was a joint effort working with all the managing directors, hiring managers. Everyone has been really terrific working as a team.
Mr. Chair, I want to commend management because middle of last year, the vacancies were high and going in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And they focused on this, and this is really magnificent.
Yep.
I mean, it truly is. I mean, to get under 5%, and somebody said it earlier today, the hard thing is going to be keep doing it because it's a pipeline issue, and as people leave, you got to have replacements. But this is really good work, and I commend management.
So Senator Neal, I change your title every time.
I've noticed that.
You got so many in the history thing. So we have a Tosi, Director Tosi and I have a meeting with our subcommittee chair every year. We have budget hearings are coming up early February.
Yeah.
And to my stark surprise in my interactions with Delegate Corman, who also watches our board meetings every week, every month, he gave us the biggest compliment on that. And I believe we are, Mr. Barzil shared data, we are the lowest vacancy rate in the state among state agencies.
Some state agencies are in double digits.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of them. So this is really a good piece of work.
He even suggested that that he might send DBM to us to find out what we discussed. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do this. But and by the way, and this is showing you how humble we are. We passed the hat for the HR team. We did not use MES resources
No, we didn't.
for our celebration of them and all that were involved. So,
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I wouldn't have minded if you did because this was good work. And, people need to be recognized for something that's really extraordinary.
Yep. I think everybody would agree with that.
Yeah.
Without any question. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir. Next, we have our Human Resources Committee report person, Ms. Hoying, will talk us. And, Adam, that's your pleasure.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I always seem to have problems. Continuing with all of the accolades going to HR, we'll next hear about some additional extraordinary efforts also by HR. On January 19th, the Human Resources Committee met, at which time Melissa Slatnick provided a summary of a proposed new career ladder for electricians and mechanics. And because we'll need the board's approval for this new career ladder, I will turn it over to Ms. Slatnick to provide you with an overview.
No, it's not. Marnie's going to do it.
Oh, Marnie's gonna do it, my bad, sorry.
Okay, good. Thank you, Marnie.
Marnie, but you're not seen.
Want to switch?
Hey, she can switch, she can come over here. Yeah, wherever. Someplace where you can be seen on the monitor. Yeah, the big one, you're right in front of the
Yeah,
big
here.
one.
Oh, yeah, the big one,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Just want to go over the career path restructure. MES determined there is a need to restructure the MES mechanic and electrician classifications to establish an enhanced career path that includes education, training, certification, and a clear growth for our new and existing employees. The need for this restructure basically came out of our difficulty recruiting new and retaining entry-level junior mechanics and electricians and mechanics. They basically were getting paid more outside of MES, so it's very hard. So we took a deep dive into the classifications, noticed there was a lot of redundancy and inconsistency. So we went through them all, and we are proposing to take the 18 current mechanic classifications and restructure them to 10 proposed ones, and take the current electrician classifications that are 10 and restructure them to a proposed 7 classifications, which includes 2 new electrician classifications. The proposed mechanic classification series includes both a technical and a supervisory track, which overlap to provide career advancement through either track, and grade advancement requirements that include additional years, education, experience, and also approved training and certification. As I said, we reduced the amount of those classifications down to 5 for the technical track, ranging from a mechanic trainee all the way up to a senior lead mechanic. And then on the other side, for the supervisory track, we did the same thing, and we reduced it to the 5 positions here, starting with a maintenance supervisor all the way up to a senior lead maintenance supervisor. And the next slide, 2 slides show the career ladder. As you can see, we're proposing new grades for each of the positions, and this is based on the salary and compensation study that was done last year, for the most part. We clearly lay out the experience and requirements, and also education substitution that can be used for the work experience, and the required trainings and certifications needed for advancement. So clearly laid out there, so mechanics can see what that is. The first 5 are the technical track, and the last one is the first of the supervisor track, which continues on the next slide. And same here, we are proposing new higher grades based on that salary and compensation study, and lay out all the requirements for experience and training and certification. Any question on this ladder, I can go to the electrician. Proposed electrician classification series requires additional years of experience or education, as well as approved training or certification for grade advancement. These proposed changes also include new electrician apprentice position at a grade 3 for those who have more experience than an electrician trainee at a grade 2, but don't yet meet the experience requirements for an electrician at a grade 4. Additionally, a new grade 10 master electrician classification has been added for those who obtain their master's electrician license. And the 7 positions are listed below for the electrician, starting from electrician trainee all the way up to that master electrician. The career ladder for the electrician series, like the mechanics, we're proposing new higher grades that are based on that salary and compensation study from last year. And we lay out the education, work experience, substitution for experience, and also the required training and certifications needed for advancement. Questions?
You're wise to have a master electrician classification because they are very much in demand.
Yeah.
Once they get that master, they can go to a contracting firm or
Anywhere.
Yep.
anywhere. So, and it would be very tragic to take them all the way through the career ladder only to lose them
Yeah.
when they got their master's license. So this is good.
With that, thank you.
Yeah.
At the January 19th meeting, the Human Resources Committee members present were unanimous in its recommendation that the board approve this new career ladder, which I think we can all agree will provide a clear path for mechanics and electricians and assist with the recruitment and retention of staff. I might add, with respect to the retention of staff, any electrician or mechanic in this series would be, for instance, eligible for tuition reimbursement if they so decide to pursue some of the additional educational requirements. So I think this will be helpful. And with that, Judge, the committee requests a motion and vote on this matter from the board.
All right, are there any other questions before we go ahead? No? Is there a motion to take this into advisement and to put it into play? Anyone?
So moved.
All right, we have 2. Anyone else have anything to say before? And no?
Do it second.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, I heard 2 of them at the same. I heard 2 at the same time. So, yeah. So I think we're ready to go. All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right. Therefore, it is adopted and will go into force. Thank you. All right. Next, Crosby?
Yes.
You have 9 items this month? All right, ma'am. Go ahead.
Item 1 is for the wastewater engineering division. The project is Point Lookout State Park Water Sewer Infrastructure Improvement. This was a competitive sealed bid. The awarded contractor, Stormwater Management Solutions, LLC. The amount of the contract is $8,999,999. The MBE goal for this project is 19%.
Have any questions on this matter? All right, is there a motion to approve?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
Anyone else? Any other matters?
Save $1.
Those who are in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No one opposed, therefore it is approved.
Item 2 is for the Environmental Operations Group. This is for the Prince George's County Brown Station Road Sanitary Landfill Area C. The awarded contractor is Stern Conrad Smith Consultant Engineers, Inc. The original contract amount for this project is $20,350,825. This is a change order to the contract in the amount of $3,013,257. And the goal on the contract is 20%. The contractor is currently achieving 23.9%.
Any questions on this matter? Motion for approval. All approved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
And,
So the next page.
it's, you got it?
Ask for any opposed?
Well, she's saying, any opposed? Any
Oh,
opposed?
yeah, no. Any opposed? No, therefore, approved. Okay. Looking for an approval. Here we go. Go ahead.
Okay. Item 3, also for the Environmental Operations Group. This is for the scrap tire hauling and disposal service. This will be a competitively sealed bid. The advertisement date is to be determined. The estimate for the project is $1,040,000, and the MBE goal for the project will be 29%.
Any questions on this? All right, is there a motion to approve this one?
Motion to approve.
Second? I'll second it. All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None is opposed, therefore it is approved. Thank you. Next.
Okay. Item 4 is for our Water and Wastewater Group, the Engineering Division. This project is for the Sandy Point State Park Water System Upgrade. This is a procurement from our AE shortlist. The awarded contractor is Watec Engineering Corporation. The amount is $323,514, and the MVE goal is 29%.
The slide says change order, but this is a new contract, is it not? That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a new contract. It's not a
See it.
change order.
Okay.
And second thing is, after reviewing the report and having some statements, we're gonna do our best to move this as quickly as possible, given the condition of the pilings.
Like a design build for the water tower. Yeah.
Any questions on the matter?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second? Your hand, say aye.
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 Don't have a horizontal water tower if you don't fix that.
Right, right. Makes it easier to paint though.
So it doesn't, if it doesn't fall on you.
No one is taken out, and therefore we are going to approve this. This one is approved. Thank you.
Okay. Item 5 is for the Environmental Dredging and Restoration Group. This is for the Hawkins Point Hazardous Waste Landfill and Dundalk Marine Terminal. The awarded contractor is ACV Environmental Service, Inc., also Allstate Power Vac doing business as ACV Enviro. The original contract amount was $254,440. This is a change order in the amount of $234,635.70. The revised contract now is $662,280,280.70 with this change order. And the MB goal on this contract is 1%.
Questions on this?
This is a new,
I'm sorry.
this is a new year, right? You're renewing an additional year?
2.
Or 2 years, right, it's, yeah, okay.
Any
I
other
have a
questions?
question.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. Ms. Crosby, can you explain why the MBE goal is 1%? And was it 1% also for the prior contract?
Yes, this goal was set low because there was not a great deal of subcontracting opportunities.
Specialized equipment, yeah.
Is that, take care of it?
So I'd like Ms. Dolliner to explain a little bit more?
So the equipment that they're renting is being used to move, they do a lot of storm drain cleanings, and it's hazardous material with pH concerns, so it's specialized equipment to be able to move all the hazardous materials. And it's a low MBE because there's such a small pool of available MBEs that have such equipment.
So the MDOT certification database did not have,
No, didn't have
so.
a large number of these.
Any other matters before we vote? Motion to approve on this matter?
So moved.
Seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None is opposed, therefore it is approved. Next matter, please.
Okay. Also for environmental dredging and restoration, this is, from our AE shortlist contract. The awarded contractor is Anchor QEA. This is for the innovative reuse and beneficial use environmental and engineering support. This is a change order in the amount of $133,388.59, bringing the total revised contract amount to $355,777.59. The MVE goal for this contract is 9%. The contractor is currently achieving 3.35%.
Anybody have any questions on this matter? Second. Second is, any other matters you wish to ask? None, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None is opposed, so therefore it's approved. Next, ma'am.
Okay. Item 7 is for the Water and Wastewater Engineering Division Group. This is for the Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant tank 2 and 7 rehabilitation. This is a change order to the original contract. This is the 4th change order to this contract. The amount is $46,735.85. The total revised contract is $2,255,575.99. The goal on the contract is 20%. The contractor is currently achieving 6.1%. However, the contractor has been asked for an MBE compliance plan.
And I did meet with the MD officer yesterday, and I have a documented email from him that I asked for. He checked the numbers in Workday, and the actual achievement to date is 11.51%. And that he does have a corrective plan to get the third MB firm some of the work, but he did state that GMH is doing a good job on the project. They should reach their goal. And he also stated that their actual MB requirement is 15%, not 20. So a couple of corrections that we had to vet in the interim, so since these slides were prepared.
All right. Are there any questions you haven't heard yet? No? Therefore, is there a motion to approve the item?
Moved.
Second. All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 Opposed, none, therefore it is approved. And now to Madam 2.
Okay. Item 8 is for the Environmental Operation Group. This is the project for Prince George's County Materials Recycling Center, supply and delivery of 11 and 12 gauge balding wires. The awarded contractor is South Atlantic Marine Service, Inc. The original term was for 1 year.
All of them, yeah.
Oh, bail and wire.
Yeah, bail.
Sorry.
Of course.
Okay. The original term was 1 year with 2 one-year extensions. This is the second change order in the amount of $378,680. The revised contract amount is $961,612, and there's no MBE participation on this contract.
On this before we move. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any other questions, any matters? None? Therefore, those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 None has been approved, has been adopted. Therefore, we are going to go and approve. All right.
And item 9 is for the environmental solid waste management. This is the purchase of a John Deere bulldozer from Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement. The awarded contractor is Jesco. The amount is $336,147.
Please, any questions, other than you might want to go out and work on it, but other than that, that's about it. Yeah. All right. So, all right, any other matters before we take a vote?
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hands.
This is Mary, and I'll have to abstain on the vote.
All right, there will be an abstention on this, but there still is a quorum, so therefore it will be approved. Thank you very much. And I think that's about it.
Notification.
Thank you.
So yes, this is just a notification that you all received, and it did pass the Board of Public Works yesterday. It was just an unfortunate timing issue, and it was under the threshold for pre-approval. It would have been a notification as the rest.
All right, thank you. And we don't need a motion on it now at this time. And now we have the procurement notifications. Anybody see anything on there that they want to discuss? Not, so therefore we will on. And now we have the managing directors on group updates. Go right ahead.
What's going on at Poplar Island. Before we go into the updates, I wanted just to explain, MES has been operating Poplar Island for our client, the Maryland Port Administration. They're the state sponsor of the project, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Baltimore District is the federal sponsor. And the project construction started in 1998, and then most recently, the lateral expansion was completed in January of 2021. And you can see that at the top region of the picture on the right. And with the lateral expansion, it gives us 68 million cubic yards of capacity for dredge material. That'll give us till 2033 or 34 to fill it up. And with that material, we'll have 776 acres of wetlands, 829 acres of uplands, and 110 acres of open embayment. One of the things we're doing right now is material recovery efforts. In April of 2021, MES was tasked with removing an estimated 370,000 cubic yards of sand from Cell 4AB, which is pictured up top. That's back in November 2020. It shows all the sand that had been stockpiled in there by a Corps contractor. They were contracted by the Corps to get a sand borrow area, dredge it, and place the material in there. And as of December 2022, pictured below, we've taken out 278,000 cubic yards of sand, which is being used for raising upland dikes. And we will reach our goal by April to get to 370,000 cubic yards, because we need to get it out by then, because then the inflow is going to come in. We don't want to lose that sand material. So we'll make that. And then we're going to move to Cell 4C, where we'll be tasked to move 110,000 cubic yards. And we'll have 2 years to do that. We'll get that done. Another thing going on this month is the Christmas trees for Habitat. MES has been operating this on behalf of our client since 2007. A total of 3,000 Christmas trees have been taken to the island. We coordinate with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Town of Easton Public Works to collect approximately 150 trees each year. And it's a good way for the community to feel a part of the local project and also help wildlife. So currently, the trees are getting ready, and on Tuesday, they're going to be barged to the island and unloaded. And you can see a previous year, the first picture up top is the trees being unloaded at Poplar. And the second picture is they cluster a group of trees, like 8 to 10, and make tree hummocks. And that actually creates wildlife habitat, including nesting habitat for waterfowl, coverage habitat for mice, voles, muskrats, and even diamondback terrapins, and then resting habitat for short-eared owls or egrets, and you can see some birds sitting on some dried-up trees.
So they're just left there to decompose forever. I mean, they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. That'll happen on Tuesday. We'll bring them out. And also this month started our tour season scheduling. And the tours run from March through October. Poplar Island tours include school groups, the general public, and birders, as well as special tours for VIPs, such as elected officials. And last year was our first full tour season since the pandemic. And we welcomed 2019 visitors to the site, including a visit by the former Lieutenant Governor, who really enjoyed the turtles. And the outreach staff also participated on a variety of outreach events outside of the island, which included education, conferences, classroom visits, and also community events. And here's some pictures of some birds from Poplar taken by Tim Carney. He conducts a bird census regularly at Poplar and some of the other sites, at least about a month, each month. And pictured is a bald eagle, a short-eared owl flying, and below is a snowy owl, a black-crowned night heron, and Ipswich sparrow, taken by Tim at Poplar. Any questions?
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. They've got you going this time, don't they?
Thank you.
Been a long day for you.
I love it. Okay. The board has been so supportive of our operating and training program. I thought you might want to see what these women and men go through over this 3-year period. Most of the recruits they have little or no knowledge of wastewater, to be frank with you.
Right.
And I think, if you look at this first slide, I think it really represents, our program really represents the commitment that MES has to developing good, strong, capable people to fill the roles at MES. We've been very fortunate as far as our recruiting efforts. You'll see that on the slide a little bit later, how many new positions that we filled. You think next slide. So here's what our folks go through. It's a 3-year program. We have they enter as temporary operators. Actually, when someone comes in, they actually are given a classification as a temporary operator, and they walk through the program over 3 years. They're assigned mentors, and I think that's a key part of what we do. When somebody comes in, they aren't left to try to figure it out themselves. They actually have a mentor at each site, at wherever they're located, and that mentor is responsible for basically holding their hand through the process, assisting them with the training that they're doing, and that kind of thing.
Sometimes prodding them.
Yeah, sometimes prodding them to make sure that we'll talk about the steps a little bit later that they have to do, okay? Next slide, please. The training program, the operators have, the OITs have to actually complete 4 training courses in order to complete the program. They have to pass 2 tests. And one of the things that you've heard in the past and we've given an Inspire Award for is the tests are very math-oriented, so we have an internal program. We encourage, we do everything we can to get our folks to succeed, and that was just one aspect of it. But they do have to pass these examinations, these state examinations, and our percentages have been going up. We've been very, very fortunate to make sure that we do the kind of development that it's important to get our people into the right place. Next slide. Part of the program involves them doing a walkthrough of a facility. They have to be familiar with the facility that they're associated with. They have a full day training in water and wastewater based training approved by the Maryland State Board of Water Works, and my assistant chief sits on that board, so we have a presence there. Very much. They have to, next slide. They have to familiarize themselves with compliance. As we talked about in the past, compliance is key as far as what we do in the water wastewater group. And so they have to understand what compliance means. They have to understand what an audit of the compliance means. That's all a part of the basic training. The program itself involves 5,400 work hours over that 3 years, which equates to 1,800 hours a year for 3 years. And I mentioned the test. In order to be able to pass the test, you have to be able to go through 4 of these books, or 4 or 5 of these books. Now, they gave, I got this from our training manager 6 months ago. I think I'm about a third of the way through, so I don't know how they do it. But again, you can see it's a very intense program, and when you're done,
3 years.
Okay, you know, got the job responsibility. These books actually come from the Sacramento program out in California. I think they're pretty much a standard across the country as far as training, and we're part of that program. Yes, and then the next slide, the next bullet talks about that the Office of Water Programs develops and publishes these documents, but they are, as you see, 5 different ones that they have to go through. Now, in the next slide, I wanted you to see how things break down as far as what's been going on as far as our recruiting efforts. As you can see, we've been doing a lot of recruiting. So we have 26 folks that are just starting the program, 12 folks that are in middle, and 9 that are on the verge of graduating and actually becoming operators. So that's the next step. If you remember from the career ladder, they go through the OIT program, and they graduate and become operators. And you also approve the program for our operators. We have a total of 47 people in the program right now. Just a footnote, we are victims of our own success. Yeah. People know what we do. We know that we do a good job, and poaching is definitely a factor. Yeah. On average, we lose every year 3 to 5 operators. I won't mention any utilities, but but you know who they are. But you know who they are, right? So I won't name names, but you know who they are, right? Down the street and around the corner, you know. Poaching does occur. But the other thing I'll tell you is that what I've seen, and I've only been here for a little over a year and a half, or roughly a year and a half, is I see people come back. Mm-hmm. You know, we've had people come back and say, hey, you know, I've been out there, you know, made a little extra money, but, you know, I think MES is a fairly good place to work, so that's great. And then the last slide just shows our operators in training at work, doing either processing samples or out kitting samples, collecting samples.
I've got a quick question.
Yes.
In one of these situations where somebody leaves and then comes back, mm-hmm. What does that have to do with what they are getting from us? In other words, are they going to have exactly what they had before in terms of, you know, what they're being paid and what they're doing and all that stuff? How does that operate when they come back?
It really varies with the amount of experience that they come back with.
Okay.
We had a gentleman that just recently came back, and he actually came back into more of a supervisory role. Mm-hmm. So it really just depends on how they come back. Okay. But I think it is important to note that, you know,
come back in with their
right. Mm-hmm.
all of their stuff that they have to have for
Right, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
get in and all that kind of stuff. Don't have to, okay. All right, good, thank you. I just wanted to.
The program was, or our training, and how well our training is, was recognized by the Water Environment Federation when we had a competition team, which we've started up again this year, Operations Challenge Team, and the very first year we competed, our folks went in, and while they didn't win everything in the local competition, they blew away some seasoned operators in the process part of the competition. And I think some of it is because besides the training, we have such small plants that operators have to be able to run the plant from where the influent comes in all the way to the end of the plant. And a lot of
Generalists instead.
yes, instead of specialists, yeah. But I mean, they said they were really impressed. I think it really said a lot about how good a job we do training these folks and how much they learn and pick up over the years.
And they're trained in drinking water and wastewater.
And wastewater, yep.
When you hear people coming back from where they've been, they say,
Yes.
oh, I shouldn't have left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Good employees, too.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, anyone else? Yes, sir. Mr. Ford. Good morning, sir.
I'm at the tail end of a 2-week cold, so I promise you I'm not patient zero. You'll hear my voice, so correctly.
I do. Only if I need to kick you, I get closer.
So, I want to talk about Hartford County today. So unlike our other clients that we have, where we're operating an individual facility for a client or a group of services for the client, in Hartford County, we offer integrated solid waste management. It's just a fancy way of saying we're handling all of the roles of the Bureau of Solid Waste for Hartford County. So we're doing everything within that bureau that would have been done otherwise by the county. So those services include, obviously, the core is solid waste management and recycling facility management. I'll talk about each of these in the next slides. We do a mulching and composting operation there. We have a recycling education outreach function. We support county licensing and regulatory enforcement. We provide environmental monitoring and reporting for not only their active facilities, but their closed landfills, including one hazardous waste facility. We do noxious weed and litter control along the roadways, engineering support and capital project management, and then finally, we work with the state and we're on their committee, but for the county, we help coordinate their emergency response when it comes to solid waste management support. So solid waste management and recycling facility management. So the county has in that picture is a homeowner drop-off site up in Scarborough. It's where their landfill and their composting operations are as well. And we operate that facility. We see anywhere from 400 to 750 people on any given day. Obviously Friday and Saturdays when you see the most people coming through. And done so for quite some time. In addition, we operate a leaf and yard waste drop-off facility at Tollgate, which is the second homeowner drop-off site that we operate. We handle their landfill operations. There's a nominal amount of material being landfilled. The county wants to keep their landfill open.
City Hall.
So we're bringing most of the material from the homeowner drop-off, but all the commercial waste goes directly to Baltimore County under agreement that goes to the Eastern landfill. We maintain over 60 vehicles and other pieces of equipment, and we support all of those operations when it comes to permit and environmental compliance. Next slide. The mulch and compost operations, you've heard our presentations before. Everybody knows about Leaf Grow and Leaf Grow Gold, two of our premier composting operations in the state, but we offer composting operations elsewhere as well, and Hartford County is one of them. We're probably the premier operator for composting operations, and not the the state. We're up there in the country as well, in terms of our ability. We process 10,564, it's the exact number, isn't it? Cubic yards. The art of rounding. 37,000 cubic yards of mulch. As I said before, we operate the yard trim acceptance satellite facility, which is basically a drop-off site. And again, like we do with the landfilling and the recycling operations, we handle the permanent compliance support for that as well. It is a permanent site, permanent composting site. On behalf of the county and working with the county communications folks, we do recycling outreach and education. That's Wendy Doring. Wendy is well recognized across the state in terms of her support of the education outreach for the county. She operates her website, the Harford County Office of Recycling's website, handles all the postings, finds the topics, and goes out into the community. She also is active in several innovative programs where the county has partnered with the Oyster Recovery Partnership, both at the homeowner drop-off site at Scarborough, but then also with Havre de Grace. In fact, we went down to visit with Havre de Grace not too long ago. And then we have an interesting program where we have a bulky material diversion program where we'll intercept material that otherwise would be landfilled. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. We move quite a bit of bulky material out through community programs like Second Chance in Baltimore. We'll move the material through there and donate it. And so it's just keeping it out of landfill, also finding a second use for it.
Is that like building material and
You get a big playground set, you get some furniture, right? Anything that it isn't scavenged, so it's not taken off fill. That's illegal, you can't scavenge. But if you can intercept it before it gets to the homeowner drop-off site. So we have a big sign that says, you know, as people are coming in, if you want to drop this off here and we'll have somebody look at it, we don't want complete junk. So we refer it over, but we'll take other bulky waste.
Is that a program in other counties too? Because
No, not really.
Not
Something we, not an export.
Yeah.
There are programs out there that do that.
Yeah.
There are private organizations that
Obviously, and
the business of it. Second Chance, as I mentioned
Yeah,
earlier,
yeah.
is one of the largest in the state. If you've been there, by the way, in Baltimore City, I'm doing a show for Baltimore City. Check out Second Chance. It's a really cool place. Find everything there. Next slide. We provide support for the licensing and regulatory enforcement. So we do annual inspection and licensing. We don't issue licenses. We're facilitating the issuance of licenses, Mr. Coleman, on behalf of the county for 500 Hartford County commercial haulers. So basically, every hauler has to have a license. They come in, we do the inspections, handle the paperwork for the license renewal. Processing payments and billings for commercial trash disposal. We operate the scale houses as people come in, and so we handle the cash, mostly credit card and cash operations there. At the Hartford County site. We support the county health department with code enforcement on private property. Primarily, we're the muscle. We'll do the inspections and or the cleanup. We're not issuing a citation to that homeowner, but we're coming in behind the health department and actually moving material out of there or doing the inspection for the county health department. And then we also support them on the county's enforcement of their multifamily dwelling, and curbside recycling. So they do the inspections, making sure people are in compliance with those law there, multifamily recycling requirements. Next one. We do environmental monitoring. I think I did last board meeting, I did environmental monitoring as a whole. This is part of their offering. We have people embedded within our monitoring group at the Hartford County site, and they do compliance monitoring at all 6 of the closed landfills plus their active landfill. We operate 3 active central landfill flares and do all the gas monitoring on all 7 landfills. And we manage 1 groundwater treatment system at one of the closed landfills and provide monitoring and reporting of 1 EPA Superfund site. And next slide. Kind of interesting. You don't see this very often. There's that spotted lanternfly. What do you do with the spotted lanternfly?
Squish it.
Step on it. roadside spraying and pick up trash and litter along the road. We provide litter control over 800 miles of Hartford County road. And again, as I said earlier, we do property inspections after our health department referrals. That group does. Next slide. Provide engineering support and capital management. These are two of the most recent, but we also obviously support the landfill operations and the capital required to run the landfill or their landfill gas programs and their wastewater pretreatment for their pump and treat system. So that is supported by us, or the capital management program, equipment capital as well. That bottom slide is the toll gate wall. We call it the Great Wall of Tollgate. That you can see that pad there, a 50-yard can will be placed there, and people will from the top will throw over, drop yard waste. Now, that wall is not at grade, so we're not asking people to drive off the fall off the trucks, right? That wall is 42 inches from grade on the other side from pavement. So, and there's a curb stop there to keep the pickups or whatever they're hauling from within 4 feet of the wall itself. And so they have 42 inches to go over. And then there was asphalt paving work that we did. Last, go ahead, it's fine. Last is we respond to debris management situations. On July 12th, there's that windstorm. We extended hours and we established 7 satellite collection debris sites throughout the county. We'll do that for other similar types of operations. We're part of the Hartford County Emergency Operations Plan, and again, we're sitting on the board, state board, for the debris management planning. And we provide labor and equipment for community cleanup events as well. And that is it, I think.
Yep.
Any questions?
Yeah, Tim, how does this looks like turnkey soup to nuts services? How does your negotiation with the county work? In other words, how you get paid for this? Because you got a couple dozen points of service. How do you figure out?
They're all broken down. So
Yeah.
we bill by operation or division. It's tied to the county
budget.
budget.
So they pay it out of their solid waste account?
So it's paid by their similar account. You submit bills and invoices. Mostly it's labor, direct pass-through for services. We've I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I know we've saved the county millions of dollars.
Well,
in the years that we've operated.
I have no doubt, but I was just wondering how that worked.
We present a budget, it gets approved, it ties to their operating budget for their solid waste division.
I got you. And so if they ask you for a new service, you price it, that's negotiated, and then it gets included in the budget.
Budget amendment.
Got it. Great.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, and I think we have,
Excellent.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, before we get started, because Jessica's new face for everybody, so she is the Deputy Division Chief in Technical and Environmental Services. And this is one of her babies here, so she's gonna, welcome aboard. Presentation today.
So this project, like Ellen said, has been my baby. So, I'd like to highlight some of what TEF does for State Highway, specifically their drainage emergencies and all of their stormwater work. Nothing like starting off with a good before and after. So this is Maryland 4 at, we call it Ritchie Marlboro. If you look at the very top of that first picture, that is not just the shoulder, we are onto the ramp and the roadway. So the drainage issues have basically caused a complete slope failure. And then the one on the right is project completion. So just to show the impact of the services that we provide to the highway and how it really helps with their drainage. Go ahead. So just recently, we have executed a new MOU with State Highway to provide additional services for this. It is a $60 million MOU over a 5-year term. And so our staff will provide anything from investigation, project management, from construction, through completion of all of these projects. And we do it both for all of the metropolitan districts, so that's District 3, 4, 5, and 7, and also for the central office, so like Highway Hydraulics Division, so supporting design and engineering practices as well. If anyone is familiar with the sinkhole on I-97, that is this. It shows also the severity of the impact, what it looks like on the surface is not what it is underneath. That was a 40-foot by about 12-foot sinkhole under the road, what appears to be like a 6x3-ish on top of the road. So just to kind of display that. So one of the services, as I highlighted, was our investigation services. These are items that either the district or Highway Hydraulics is looking into. It is clearly not an emergency, but it is on the brink of becoming an issue. And our job is to do both a desktop review as well as a field site review. Go ahead, take a look at everything that we have and then everything that is currently happening on site and work with State Highway to come up with some innovative solutions. Ideally hoping to save them some money in the process and come up with a great way to solve their drainage issues and hopefully keep the site functioning well for several years so it doesn't become an emergency. We have, I guess, why we needed this new MOU, we have increased our services significantly to State Highway over the past several years, since 2019. We've been assigned $14 million in projects and growing with the State Highway Administration. Our drainage emergency projects, which are the ones that are, as you can see, the slope failure here, that's off of US 40 in Harford County. They're the ones that are considered an immediate threat to the traveling public. Our average cost is about $500,000 and growing. This year, we have 2 projects that are over $1 million each, with an average duration of about 3 or 4 months. We do some stormwater construction projects. They often are not considered emergencies because they're just so far off the roadway, ponds, et cetera. So we work with State Highway's headquarters, the Highway Hydraulics. Average cost anywhere $250,000 to upwards of $500,000, 1 to 3 months completion on those. And so under our new MOU, I guess I say is developing multiple task proposals to kick these off. It will be roughly budgeted about $500,000 initially for test staff to do all the investigations, reporting, come up with innovative solutions. $5 million budgeted for stormwater construction for the Highway Hydraulics Division. And each district will get its share of $20 million, and each district will have its own emergency drainage task. They will be divided proportionately among districts. So, for example, District 3, Prince George's and Montgomery County, tend to have a higher quantity of emergency needs than others, so we will divide that money proportionally among each district. Short and sweet. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for showing these things to us.
Thank you.
Exactly. Great. All right. I think the next thing we have is a legal report from our counselor, Sean.
So we will now turn to the MES's internal sinkhole, also called.
And like the one on 97, it's way big underneath.
Waiting for millions of dollars to be thrown at us I did want to point out, the Governor Moore issued a new executive order replacing one that had been issued by Governor Hogan regarding standards of conduct for executive branch employees. Our advice in the past has been that this executive order does apply to MES employees. I'd be happy to make a copy available to anyone who would want one. Speaking of ethics, you should have gotten notices that your annual financial disclosure forms are due to the State Ethics Commission. And once you have filed those, which need to be filed by April 30th, under the MES Board of Directors Ethics Program, a copy of the form needs to be provided to Pam Fuller, and you can get with her to talk about the format for that as well. Dr. Glass mentioned the Back River extension. We were in close contact with lawyers from the Department of the Environment for Baltimore City to assist in the documenting the agreement changes that needed to be made. That was all in place before December, right around December 31st. And then finally, in addition to the normal transactional work we do in supporting agency with all these contracts that you see come before you, we are also assisting Jeff Tosi, the legislative liaison for the agency, as he's asked to provide analysis of legislation. He'll reach out to us to also provide some input if needed. And of course, we do have a new Attorney General. I've met with him once, and been speaking with the Deputy Attorney General who's assigned to oversee our office.
And that person didn't change, right?
Yes, it's the same. Carolyn Quattrocchi is the Deputy Attorney General who I've reported to for the last several years. She has stayed on.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Are there any other new or old business to be gone through?
I saved a couple of things for new business. Sorry to
Yes, sir. No.
continue, but one thing, and so Tosti's where he needs to be in Annapolis right now, but we've got one to my knowledge of all the bills that have been filed that names MES in it, and that is House Bill 161. And, you know, my time here, we've really not ever taken any stance on a bill, and unless the board or the chair of the board changes that, that will, of course, be our ongoing. If we're asked to give a comment, we of course will, but we don't generally take a stance. But this bill is to study the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority, an evaluation and termination of their bond authority, but an evaluation of rolling them into MES. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the board. Delegate Corman and Delegate Shalega are co-authors. This is a product of the STAR Commission, which was a product of the MES Reform Act. So, well, not a product, but stimulated by the MES Reform Act. So just to bring that to your awareness. And the second thing is Delegate Boyce invited us. She was in one of the briefings we've had, the MES 101 briefing we had, to House E&T, Environment and Transportation Committee, and she asked us to come and present what we've been doing on the EJ practice development. And we do have one small contract that's the initiation of some work in that area from Baltimore County, and we look forward to applying for more grants and seeing if we can be of assistance to any of the counties. But we'll be going to the MDE EJ Commission at the end of February. February, next month.
Environmental justice.
Environmental justice, and it's got a long title, but that commission. And those were only two little pieces of new business I just want to make sure you were aware of.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Anything else? All right. It's been an interesting day. I think we've seen absolute excellence in January. I think that from 2023, from sessions forward to us now, we've got, another long period of time, but I'm sure that it will stay the way that it's done and worked here and continue on from day to day. Really, it's fantastic. So thank you all very much. I think all the members of the board would agree with me on that. So thank you all very much. Our next meeting is on Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. And I think that just about changes the music and turns it open. Anything else? Anyone else? All right. Well,
move we adjourn.
I'm there, and I think everybody else agrees, but I'll say it. Anybody else? All persons agree? All persons agree. Therefore, we